So a little thing I need to fix here, especially now that our cows are inside, is this scraper. It's been featured on our channel so many times. You'll know the issue that I had, and it was always engine related. So the first engine that came in it was, I think it was a 160 version of this one here. And it always had the same issue where the petrol would mix with the oil. We'd done our first oil change in this, I remember about 13, 14 years ago. We got a milky cream oil coming out of it. We were back and forth to the garage several times, just to keep the thing short and simple. There's loads of videos on it. The moral of the story was we could never get that problem fixed. No matter how many times it was in the garage, no matter how many repairs was done on it, we're still mixing the petrol and the oil together. This was a new engine we got just after lockdown, basically. It came, was mounted to it, worked great for maybe the first 3 to 4 weeks. We've done an oil change, break-in oil change, and again it was milky grey creamy colour. So we continued to use that engine. We just changed the oil every 2 to 3 weeks. Took this engine out, I brought it to a different garage. The lad that works in it has about 30, 40 years experience, knows these engines inside out. He had a quick look of it and he told me that the compression is low on it. I presume that's probably because the cylinder is scored, and that'd be down to not enough lubricant. Now it always had enough oil in it. It was just, there was too much petrol mixed with that oil and it wasn't lubricating the engine right. And my intentions wasn't to actually get this fixed. He wanted to have a look at it, I let him do that. But once that was done, I went ahead and I ordered a different engine for this machine. Completely different setup, in the hope that that will put an end to our problems, because this machine is very handy for scraping slats. It's not any good for scraping yards that are up and down and have slight differences in levels. It will just skin over the top of it more than anything, but for pushing back silage, late silage, like a half a block, cleaning slats is what we really do use it for. It's brilliant. I got a phone call this morning that my new engine is in. The place where I'm going to pick it up, they're also a Honda dealer, but they're a dealer for other brands as well. I had an experience when I was younger where I bought an Isuzu Trooper. It was my first 4x4 that I ever bought. I bought it when I was 19 years old. It was a 99 3-litre Trooper, short wheelbase, gorgeous Jeep. It was black, it had lovely designs up the side of it, it had extra wide wheels, it was an absolute monster. So when you're that age, it was my pride and joy. But I owned it for about 9 months, and I had taken out finance to pay for that thing over 4 years. Spent about 4,000 or 5,000 on it, all engine problems. It broke my heart. You were lucky, some people got a good one, some people got a bad one. That was always what was said. But there was an awful sense of relief when it went, because the L200 I had for 9 years and I never had to put a spanner to it. Hence the reason I drive this one today, and I've always kept every one of them till they're 7, 8 years old, and they've never given me an ounce of trouble. Anyway, let's go on, collect this engine and get home. There is our belt drive system. So this belt here you see goes onto the pulley at the bottom of the engine. So it just hooks onto this pulley here at the top. It drives a pulley which underneath, a smaller one, which I presume kind of gears it down. And this guy here is kind of like a tensioner you'd have on a timing belt or something similar. And when you pull this fella here with the control on your handlebars, it moves this guy in and out. And that puts tension onto this belt. So when you want to drive, you pull your trigger over there. This comes under tension, and that engages it with the engine that's powering it, and that's what moves it one direction. This doesn't have any reverse or any gears in it. It's just a simple one-speed forward direction. So a very straightforward setup. The belts are fine in it. I was going to change them, but they're actually not perished. There's nothing really wrong with them, and it's not a hard job to change it anyway, just by removing this cover. So in case you ever wonder what's inside these, that's them there. So here's the engine we picked up. I paid around $240 plus the VAT for it. So it's a Lonson engine, 196cc, a little bit stronger than the one that was in it, I think. The dimensions are pretty much the same, but we had to make a few little modifications to it. So the garage fitted an on-off switch here. This was kind of set up to have a cutout handle on the handlebars of a lawnmower, for instance. Guys worked on it differently, and they put in a switch here on the side, which is a nice neat job just for turning the engine on and off. This one doesn't rev up and down like the engine that was on it before. It just runs at the one speed the whole time. Another thing we had to add here was a spacer for this, because the shaft coming down below was just a little bit longer than the one that was in it before. We have enough clearance hopefully above that will allow this to work. So we're going to take the spacer off first, we'll sit this engine in, line up all these bolts again, and hopefully it'll be an easy fit. You can see here on the bottom we already have our pulley put on. It's just a matter of laying that up now, fitting on our belt. Alright, so there's our belt on. Now we can just line this engine up. We can undo this spacer here now and put our bolts up. We probably will have to use a longer bolt, maybe. Let's see how we go. So getting the spacer on is not that terrible easy. And keeping the belt on at the same time. Come on, play games. So I'm just trying to route through a lot of bolts I have here to get longer ones, and these ones here are just a tad longer. They'll do the job. As you can see outside, it's definitely day for routing this kind of stuff. Okay. Right, that's enough. This one's a bit fiddly as well because I can't get my hand in here. So I'm going to try to lift this up. Stick a screwdriver or something in it just to keep it up for now. There, that'll hold it. Right, down she goes. All the bolts are well rusted in this, so I'm just going to throw on new ones here when we're at it. This is the thing I was worried about. Just about touching that plastic cover, but I think when this is tightened, they'll just clear it. And it's thinking that sits there like that. Just set these handlebars now out of the middle. This guy up. One thing about this compared to the other one, we don't have a throttle cable anymore, so our engine is set to 1 speed only, so we're only down to 1 cable here, which to me is a plus. I'm going to just check it first for oil, and even better again to see what colour it is. Yeah, we're good with oil and it's the right colour. You can hear the fuel in it, so I'm not going to bother touching that. It's on the on position there. That's it. Whoa. My God, am I happy to see that. It might be such a simple little thing, but to me, after all the crack that this thing has been given, to be able to pull an engine and starts like that, that's awesome. As I say, I might have been just unlucky with them last 2 engines. Hopefully it's 3rd time lucky with this one. There's mail there, I can feel it. So it's Monday morning here, it's the start of another week. Just feeding the calves here, which is part of the routine, and having a quick look over them. So a few people do ask about number 13. This is the calf that had the photosensitive issue earlier on in the year. Well, there's 13 there looking at you. Right there. I'll try to get close. I don't want to disturb the one they're having the meal, but there she's there. She's not the biggest one here, but she's certainly not the smallest one anymore. Her hair is also 100%. Her eyes are fine. There's no issues there any longer. In this job, you'll always come across new problems. And hers was a first for me. But apparently from talking to other people online, it's a common enough issue to have calves like that. And I'm not sure what part of the body can cause it. Is it the liver, I think? I often heard of it happening if a person was on antibiotics or something. Some of them can leave you very sensitive to light, and it's something linked to that kind of genre, but she's fine, and that's the main thing. It took a long time for her to come right, and it took a bit of time for her then to catch up on the rest of the calves, but thankfully she's good. Otherwise the rest of her calves have been good for the majority of the summer. I'm happy with their size. I don't know if you can see them there on the camera, but for their age and size, they're bang on where I want them to be. They've got nice condition on them as well, there's plenty of flesh on them. They're not coughing. I don't see any issues health-wise with worms I need to address. So thankfully all is good there. They hadn't the best start this year. Had very warm weather when they went out. If you remember that. And I think they suffered a wee bit from heat stress. some of the calves just didn't thrive when they went out, and some of them had to come back in for a little while. We did manage to get it solved. It just took time. Also developed a bit of a scour too, which I've seen before, summer scour. Some of the times that can be down to digestion and maybe the rumen not being fully developed or developed enough, and then they get into lush green grass and they just don't digest it right. So what we did to solve that was we fenced them off. We didn't give them such a big area, and in fact we started throwing nice dry bale silage from that year across the fence there, and they ate like mad at it. And once they took that bit of roughage back into the system, that seemed to knock it on the head. It took a while. So a few people asked about this girl. So if you remember, 67 when she was born with a problem with her back tail. She's not trying to show you her backside on purpose. That's the way her tail is. It just comes out and it twists down to the side. Now, I've never seen that on an animal before, but I've heard lots of reports about people having similar. So we done a video on her when she was born, and we talked about her a few times, but I was also looking to see was there any other physical problems with her, which we couldn't find any. She's actually a very broody animal. There's no fear in her. She'd eat as much as two animals put together. So we wouldn't know for sure until time went on, especially with our reproductive system. Sometimes that's where the problems can come. But it's nice to be able to share that she held first time, and she will be calving, hopefully, fingers crossed, with a nice healthy calf on the 17th of January. So we look forward to that. So the reason I'm up with them today is I'm going to move them. They're running after me here. There's plenty of grass. It's just getting a little bit wet after the rain we had. So this is a silage field and I do not want any tramping. So I'm just going to let them in here to the far side of this wire. It's the drier side of this field anyway. And you can see that there is a nice wee bit of grass coming on it. And that's purely from slurry. You remember when we showed our double bar lines in a video or two ago when we were putting out our slurry. We got a great response from it. A nice bit of colour came on that and a nice bit of growth. Come on. Come on. I just swapped the fencer over here to this side. I hadn't got a hammer to hammer down my earth, so I'll have to come back here on the quad with a hammer and just drive that down. But that'll keep them settled now for another maybe week and a half, 2 weeks, regardless of whether I want to get them inside soon. I normally bring them and put them into the shed over here first until the calves are ready to go in, and then I move them home. I want to get a pre-calver into them, get them dosed, maybe clip them as well if the need be, and just get them ready for calving, because you won't find that time coming. We've no angleberries this year. If you're watching the channel, you'll know that we've had several years with big problems with them. We have none this year. That's always been the case. You could get a few years with a heap of them, then straight after that you get a few years with not a sign of them. It's just an unusual one. So these two cows are going for sale today, so first thing I need to do is get the collars off. A wee bit hard to get off sometimes because collars can go quite hard. The fact that she has her head so high up as well doesn't help, but that is one collar off. There we go. Go back, you. Go back. Go back. Go back. Go back. Right, let your turn. So these two cows are leaving us today. This one here would be a 5th calver, and that one there would be a 4th calver. So it's still relatively two young cows. It's just they would be on the lower side of production is what we want. So we purposely didn't put either of these in calf. We had the intentions of just milking them out this lactation, and then coming to this time of year was always our intention just to let them go on. I sometimes do things slightly different. Sometimes I would hold on to them, milk them right out until they're gone dry, dry them off, put them in the shed, put a bit of condition onto their back, and then when they have a nice bit of condition on them, I'd sell them on and let someone just finish them for the factory. But because this year I'm just a wee bit more skeptical on what silage we have, I always am every year. I'm trying to not hold on to any animals that aren't producing, so I'm going to let these two go. Try to keep our numbers a bit lower this winter time. We still have plenty of animals and cows for our next milking season. It's just I just don't want to hold on to them this year. I want to keep just what I want for production only. So hence the reason I'm letting them go a little bit earlier. So depending whether they go on another dairy farm or they get finished for beef, I'm not sure. The guy that buys them off me, sometimes he keeps them, fats them, sometimes the same day they go straight onto another dairy farm. So I will delete their collars now and I will put them onto our heifers so they can start building a profile on them. Just throw them back in the shed, they'll be going in the next hour. Just putting this cow out here this morning, it's the following day. This cow here, we call her Jingle Bells. She's the oldest cow in the herd, but she developed a problem with her back leg. What I think is a stone bruise. She probably wounded herself somewhere along the hoof and an infection got in. We don't really suffer too much around here with lameness in our cows, thankfully. The last time our hoof man was here, you actually seen it was one time when we had a hard frost, about 15 plus months ago. And we only get him out if he's putting on a shoe or pairing a cow. Some cows do get the general things like maybe an overextended hoof or something like that that's just grown long. We take that off ourselves, that's part of just routine maintenance. But lameness and stuff is something that we don't suffer with too much. This cow here, unfortunately, was put over to the other farm with the rest of the cows. She was struggling, I could see that, so we only put her over for 2 days in total, and then we kept her at home. She's the sort of cow, it's hard to keep at home because she'd nearly bust through you to get with the rest of them. But we made a mistake of ever letting her over in the first place. It wasn't about 2 weeks after that she took a lameness in her foot. We were actually about to sell her the week that she took the lameness. And obviously we couldn't do anything with her then when she got lame, so we had her looked at. I also looked at it myself. I wanted to see, make sure there was no screws, nails, stuff like that on her hoof. We couldn't find anything. Quite quickly after that, we noticed she took a swelling, not on her foot where you'd normally see it, but actually up on her leg. Kind of swelling you'd see if you had felon or a bad case of mastitis in the cow. It's obviously an infection. So got in touch with the vet, and the vet recommended certain penicillin, an anti-inflammatory and a painkiller. Could have all been one. There was 2 injections in total. She's on a dose of that every second day. She's just finished her last dose there yesterday because she is improving. But I'm going to have a word with the vet today and maybe get another antibiotic just to finish it off, because I don't think she's out of it yet. It is definitely coming down the size. She's putting her foot to ground, which she wasn't doing, and she's walking about the field, eating away. Everything else is fine. I just go out and I hunt her up to the trot, or the drinker I should say, to make sure she takes a drink, because that's one of the biggest problems with animals. They get dehydrated very fast. And so I make sure she goes up and has a drink 2 or 3 times a day. Now she's not in calf, she's one of the cows that we're planning on selling. So I have already dried her off there now this morning. I'm going to leave her out in the field during the day, put her in at night, just so that she exercises, that she moves around, because when you put her in like that, they tend to lay down for most of the day and then get into a habit of doing that and not eating enough. So another thing I want to mention real quick is our bales of silage. We've used about 35 or so bales at the minute, I think. Hasn't been any waste in any of them this year. There's a couple of reasons maybe for that. They're not made that terrible long, so that probably is a big one. But also we fill them now in our bales, which I mentioned in the last video. People have recommended that fill them an awful lot. Now we didn't choose that, just our contractor happened to come with it on the baler. But I'm liking what I'm seeing versus the net that we were using before, so I can see why people mention it so much. That's it, I'm going to leave the video here with number 22. She's bushed and full. She's a big pregnant belly on her here. Between grass and silage at night, they're been a bit spoilt at this stage. They'll be out now for probably another 5 days, and I'd say we'll soon be thinking of housing them then full time. It's brilliant on the 22nd of October to have cows out in the daytime and have them settle like that there, where they're not tearing the ground asunder, and that's a wet paddock. You might remember before where we oversowed the top of this here with grass seed before when I got ploughed out of it. So it's a naturally wet paddock and they're doing no harm. It's a lovely thing to still have cows outdoors and settle like that. Thanks for watching.